Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh, and welcome to the Next Generation School podcast. Today I am joined with a very special guest, Mr. Rehan Allahwala, who is an entrepreneur, educator, and innovator with over 150 businesses in 7 different countries with extensive entrepreneur experience. He is the creator of Rehan School, a groundbreaking educational initiative focused on leadership, technology, and entrepreneurship. He's also the recipient of the Bold Award in 2024 for impactful social innovation. Brother Rehan, welcome to the NGS podcast. It's a great honor to have you with us today.
Thank you for inviting.
So we're going to learn about Rehan School today. We're going to learn about a real bold vision for education. And what has really impressed me as I've been learning about you is that you are someone who is walking the talk. There are a lot of people that are talking about reviving education or doing really innovative things to change a very broken system. But there are a few people that have really put it into motion and have had some success. So I think, Rehan School is really a model that more people need to know about. And in terms of our school, which is also trying to really be innovative while also being grounded in Islamic values, I'm hoping today we can glean some lessons from what you've done there and perhaps look at ways to even collaborate going forward. So I want to share a few initial thoughts, and then you can just jump in kind of what grabs you here. Now, when I first started asking about you, Brother Rehan, everyone I know from Pakistan knows you, apparently. So you've really made an impact there. And then when I saw the tour of the school, I was also really impressed that you've put some really innovative ideas in practice. And now it's been, I think, since 2011. Is that when the school started? Earlier.
No, it started as a different kind of, was a school on a stupid smartphone. There was a 2G phone, no internet, and it was preloaded content aiming to reach out to 2 billion human beings who cannot speak English or are problematic with learning. Okay. And then physical school started, we bought it 3 years ago, and we started around 2 years ago.
Okay. So talk to me a bit about from the vision to the actual product of the school, the 0 to 1 kind of journey that you've been on.
Well, I come from Pakistan, and India and Pakistan, 6 out of 10 people cannot read and write their name in any language, which is a very, very challenging situation for human beings who are living there. Per capita income of Pakistan is $1,000 a year. World's average is $10,300 a year. US average is $45,000 a year. So poverty is basically what I was after for the last 14 years. I wanted to get rid of poverty from the country. And I tried to teach people entrepreneurship. I failed. My goal was to empower at least 1 million people to start their own business. I was not able to convince people to learn business. I wasn't able to persuade them or teach them whatever I knew. My goal always has been, as my mother has shared values with me, to share whatever you know. Pass on what do you think good for yourselves. You must think for your brother and sister. So I have always grown up with that. So one thing I knew was entrepreneurship. I have kind of PhD in failing in business. All startups fail 90% of the time. Mine fail also, and which made me more understand the whole system, how it works, right? So I wanted to teach that to others. I could start a business from nothing, from anywhere, but it requires hard work, and most people don't do it. So that's what I found when I tried to teach them. And one of the initiative at the same time was the Rehan School, which was a stupid phone-based learning system so they can learn how to read and write. Then I was always thinking, where will my children go to school? I did not go to school, meaning I flunked at 7th, and I left school at 10th grade, which is Pakistani high school. And I started doing my business when I was in 7th. I bought my first company when I was in 10th. And in our family, in our tribe of our family, all the kids are kind of required to work in summers. I was going to my father every weekend. Then I did my first internship when I was 8. So that's how my journey started. And this school which I'm creating now is basically like a Gurukul, which is based on my life, not based on what others are thinking, right? So my goal is to not make 1,000 kids of my own and teach them, but take 1,000 kids out of the 27 million students in Pakistan who don't go to any school to become problem solvers of the world. And the aim of the school is that, one, you should be able to help positively 1 million people before you graduate. You should be able to earn $1 million for yourself before you graduate high school, which is an ambitious goal. Number 3, you should be in the top 50 of the field which we choose for you at 6th grade. We help you choose. And and become a good human being, good Muslim at the same time. So my life changed around 14 years ago when I set a goal for my life. I had no goal for my life. And I met Jack Welch. I don't know if you know who he was. He was the last CEO of General Electric, which is the second largest company in the United States. And Jack Welch was like, if you know exactly what you're doing, don't go to school, start doing it. But if you don't know what you're doing, which is 97% of the people on the planet who don't really know what they're doing, then keep on doing whatever you're doing. So my life totally changed 180 degrees when I made a goal for my life. And that's why goal setting is one of the most important things which humans need to learn. So in 6th grade, we have identified 120 problems of Pakistan and the world, which are faced by at least 10 million people.
Does the school start in 6th grade then? Is that where you're beginning?
It started at 8th grade.
Okay.
Then we went back to 5th grade because I wanted to keep the students for longer in my hands. And then now it has started at 4th grade. We want to go all the way to pre-nursery because there is a book by the gentleman who made Sony Corporation that after the age of 2, you don't learn anything. So that's kind of has been in my mind for 20 years that, if I'm not learning anything, it's kind of hard to learn after a certain age. So I want to go back all the way to nursery, pre-nursery. But for now, we start at 5th grade and we're starting 4th grade. So in 5th grade, we take the student, we give them a smartphone, we give them a laptop, and we train them in English and computers and artificial intelligence for 1 year and communication. That's our baseline. The first school we ended up having was in a slum, and the household income was only $100 a month. So one of the problems we wanted to solve was, why not the kids could learn freelancing or something which they can actually start earning when they're only in the 6th grade. So now they have to earn at least $100 a month in 6th grade. Otherwise, they cannot go to 7th grade. Similarly, if they don't earn $200 a month in 7th grade, they don't go to 8th grade. And if they don't earn $500 a month, they don't graduate from our school, which is till 8th grade for the first block. And then our high school our advanced program starts, which is in the 5th grade, which is 9th equivalency.
How are they earning this money?
So, as I mentioned, Pakistan's per capita is $1,000 a year, but world average is $10,300 a year. Singapore is $55,000 a year. So in 5th grade, we fix their English. We improve them with English. We have them do one podcast almost every day. So they have to do 100 podcasts in the first year, which totally makes them fearless. They become phenomenal at communication. They become really good speaker and listener. They also have to talk to AI every day, publicly, half an hour a day in English. So their English communication skills start to improve. And if they do, after 50 conversations with call Annie, which is our AI who speaks English, they can now get $1 per podcast from our school to interview somebody in English. So once they come to 6th grade, now they're required to podcast in English. And that is around 100 podcasts in English around the world. And our target countries are PEEP countries, which make over $45,000 a year. So we don't go to Philippines, we don't go to Indonesia, we don't go to Slovakia, we go for Singapore, Sweden, Norway, UK, US, New Zealand, Australia. So they now start making friends, all these places. And now they're confident. And among those friends, they have now fantastic AI skills, graphic skills. They also have to make a documentary every single day. So this is our first year book.
Mm-hmm.
So the tasks which they have to do is this is their work every day. So they have to write a story.
Okay.
From Mullah Nasruddin for the first year.
Mm-hmm.
So they learn character.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have to make an AI generated image for that, posted on all their social networks. So they're starting to build a following in 5th grade. Second, they have to use Canva to write a quotation. For example, here is one from Abraham Lincoln. Then they have to do another post like this, Canva post, which is by Iqbal, the Pakistani poet, and then another one by mine. And then they have to do Call Annie for 30 minutes on this is the topic, things on social media. Respecting other people's things on social media, for example. Then they have to make an AI generated song, the story of Pakistan's rise, for example. So, and they have to edit it, add images and content to it, and produce a song twice a week. Then they have to watch a TED Talk, and then they have to make that TED Talk in their own language and in English and post it back on LinkedIn, social media, all over. Then they have to make a documentary. This is one day.
This is one day.
This is one day. Then they have to make another documentary, Pakistan's role in global peace and development. They're going to make a 2-minute documentary on their own. These are 5th graders. They have to research the topic. They have to find the content. Nobody is supposed to help them. And they can make as many mistakes as they want. We don't judge them. We just judge them on the quantity, not the quality. It's like making bread. The first 100 times, if you tell them this is wrong, they're going to stop making it. So our goal is to help them make mistakes. Once they cross a certain level, then they have to make the quality. First the quantity, then the quality. It's like if you don't show up to the gym, you're not going to become qualitative at it. At least let them come for a month. Now he's punctual. He has a habit. You have a book on habits sitting in your shelf. So the whole thing is about like kind of including or buttoning up the micro habits which they need to become a leader.
Okay.
Then they have to interview a student, and here's the topic of the interview, and that's when they can go home.
That's day 28.
That's day number 28 at the school.
Okay.
They can do this from home. They can do this from the school. And then every week they're scored. It's like a point system. It's like in a game. So you have to make all the points. There's no option that you don't go to the next level till you complete it.
Mastery-based learning.
Yeah, it's practice, and it's a gamification of everything. Everything gets you points. If you clean the toilet, you get certain points. If you don't clean the toilets, you have to make those points. You don't have an option. We don't give options. We say, like, okay, make mistakes, but you have to do it. It's like, if you're in Mario Brothers, keep on playing till you succeed and you go to the next level. Otherwise, you don't go to the next level.
Okay.
So it's not a class-based system. It's a point-based system. The whole school is point-based system.
Okay. So what is the role of the teacher in Rehan School?
So we don't call anybody a teacher. We have 2 facilitators in our class. One is the main facilitator or the main classroom, and then his or her job is to guide the assistant facilitator to do everything. And their job is to guide the monitor in the class, which is a student, to how to do these things. And monitor controls the class. The student controls the class. Because we don't have any trained teachers of our system, we found that we couldn't allow the teachers to do this. Otherwise, what happens is, like, if you take a chef who has been cooking Chinese all his life, and you ask him to make Italian, he's going to make Chinese spices in the Italian food, which will ruin the Italian food. So if I find teachers from the market, which are already qualified teachers, which are fantastic at pedagogy and everything, they end up telling the student what to do, because that's what we're used to doing. And our whole point is to don't tell them anything. Let them make mistakes. Just let them finish the job. And then the location where the school is, the average salary of a teacher is $30 a month. So the quality of the teachers I find is not very high in that area. And it's in a slum, and most teachers don't want to go there. So I had to come up with an idea where the teachers are no longer teachers. The student are doing that. Then we make one student the principal once for a week, vice principal. Every job is done by a student. These books were written by a student.
MashaAllah.
All of this work is done by a student. The designing, the mistakes, everything is done by one of our students.
MashaAllah.
Of the first batch, which was only 20. It's 2 years ago. And in 2 years' time, the girl who made this is already my assistant. She's already earning $200 a month because she can, like, for example, met a gentleman from Argentina the day before, and he wanted to open a branch in Argentina. So we made 3 books in Spanish, and it took her a day. Yesterday, I met another gentleman from Syria. He wanted to open one in Syria, a micro school, as you were talking earlier. Now we have all the books in Arabic in one day. So that's the kind of speed. And she's 18, and she's only been with us for 2 years. And this is not just one girl. Almost every student we have had for the first year has become like this, and they're all earning also. And it's because they've done it so many times. They're like mastered at their art. I mean, imagine making a documentary every day for 300 days. First year, what will happen to you? It's like done, right? And the point of and the way I came up with all this is that I've been teaching for 15 years. I've been going to schools. I've been telling, this is what you should do, this is what you should do, this is what you should do, and none of them did anything. They're like, wow, great ideas, but they don't actually follow through. So I decided to, you know what, I'll just do it myself and at least make one model and make everything open source. So all of our content is open source. You can copy it, take it, modify it, do what you want with it. Because after the arrival of ChatGPT, I think even after the internet arrival, nobody has actually created a school from scratch based around the internet. Every school I've visited, and I visited I don't know how many, hundreds, is trying to modify schooling system according to the internet. But nobody has tried to create a school. That's what my intention was. On the tools available on the internet, let's create around that. Not convert your school to the internet. It's like what Elon is doing. It's like going to the first principle method, right? Do it from scratch. And then since the AI came in, I think we need to totally reinvent the schooling system. Like we have a Google Assistant and Alexa in every classroom, right? So why do we need to remember facts? There's a new device which you can hang here. It's like $100, which listens to entire conversation of yours all day long and remembers everything you did and tells you everything you want. We're living in a very different paradigm, but the schooling system is not willing to change. So I am trying everything possible with AI first model. It's a new way of learning on the post AI era. And I don't think anybody is trying to do that. Everybody's trying to create a curriculum around the curriculum using AI and the internet. So I have been very fortunate that I live in Pakistan where I have the liberty and nobody is actually bothering me so far. And I'm like waiting every day. Like somebody's going to come in and say, shut it down.
There's no regulatory body
there
that's
is,
overseen.
There is. But so far they haven't really bothered me because I'm in such a bad slum area that I think they're like, whatever, let him do whatever thing. And in fact, around 4 months ago, we actually signed an agreement with the Minister of Education and the ministry in Islamabad. And now we're piloting one school in Islamabad according to our curriculum after school program. So as you said, most people know me in the country. So that influence has kind of helped me get away with it. Okay. And I think we have 8 out of 10 schools in Pakistan are not registered. So most people get away with anything anyways. It's not like Dubai. They don't crack on you, unfortunately, which is a good thing and a bad thing. There's room to innovate, but unfortunately, they were also not innovating. And in our school for the last 2 years, on an average, 5 school owners come to our school every day. Principals, are like, wow, what a school, amazing, blah, blah, blah. We want this, okay? Open source, take it. And nobody has been able to copy anything in 2 years.
Why?
I think they're scared. It's too bold to remove English, science, maths everything.
You don't have any of the traditional subjects?
I have removed, since ChatGPT came 18 months ago, we removed all the subjects. And before, when we started, we didn't remove everything. We wanted to kind of add like others, but pro-internet era style. But then when AI came in, I don't think we need those. We need to rethink how the education works. We really need to go back and understand how ChatGPT works and the AI works, and we need to rethink how education and problem solving will work. When you can ask ChatGPT to invent you a new kind of microphone, which just sits in a dot, and it costs like $2, and it has never been done before, and just a prompt, and like 2 minutes later, you have invented a new microphone or a new car or a new anything, and it works. Most of the time, 70% of the time it works. It doesn't just hallucinate about everything. It just 70% is correct. And as time will pass, imagine ChatGPT 5, imagine ChatGPT 6, imagine ChatGPT 7 in 3 years' time, right? So are we really educating our children for that time? Or are we educating our children for year 2000? Right? So that's something which we need to understand. And that is what my whole thing is all about that.
Okay. So where does character development come into this program? Because I hear a lot of talk about really harnessing the technology, but how about developing people who are going to use that technology in ethical ways that are really going to improve humanity?
So every day they have to do meditation, half an hour. Half an hour is yoga. Okay. They have to clean the toilets once a week themselves. Like the practice in Japanese is called osoji. Every day they have to clean their classroom, and they have to post videos of it. Everything we do is public. So the students' biggest challenge in our part of the world is ego. Is I will be humiliated to clean the toilet. Why? Prophet Muhammad was cleaning his house. What's the problem with that? Peace be upon him. So that is what I think character building is. We also take the students to expos. So 30 days a year, the school is closed, and they are volunteering at expos, in the expo centers, in different events. So they're learning different kinds of real life experiences. A lot of other stuff, like we have awards on the best attitude, the best teacher. They also have to start teaching, as I said, to the class, but at the same time, in 6 months' time, after like book 3, they have to teach an hour a day online, at home, online, to the same subject which they're learning to others, and they earn from it also. Okay. So yeah, as we progress, I think we will be including more and more tasks. There's another book which I don't have right now, is on micro habits. You have to do around 100 tasks every day, which takes 30 seconds. For example, go say to your father, I love you, or go to do nafil extra, or sit down and breathe for 30 seconds. All those habits which make a phenomenal human being. We have a task list. It's like, maybe it sounds like a robotic stuff, but that's how our parents were also doing with us. Did you wash your hand? Did you say hello to your uncle? Did you say assalamu alaikum or not? That's kind of enforce. I'm enforcing it with points. Okay. It's gamified for everything. You have to achieve it. Otherwise, you don't go to the next level.
So it seems you've chosen not to be explicit, though, about the Islamic values. You've kind of kept it universal.
Correct.
Is that right? Why is that?
Because in Pakistan, 97% people, actually 99% of the time, are Muslims. And in Dubai, for example, or in other parts of the world, you get exposed to other religions. For example, even in Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, unfortunately, most people are Muslims. And that is what creates the Shia-Sunni problem. That is what creates, they think they're right. They don't know, but they think, they're living in their own small little bubble. So if a non-Muslim comes for admission, we give them 50% off. If a a non-Muslim comes as a teacher or a facilitator, we give them 30% extra. I encourage the people from other backgrounds or ethnicity to be part of our system.
Okay.
And it's very important to me to be human first and Muslim second. Unfortunately, a lot of people think that's wrong, but that's what my value has been, especially coming from Pakistan, because everyone is extreme Muslim because they don't know anything else. And it's important for them to be exposed to other cultures and other religions. They need to understand that what they're doing is why are they doing it? Not just because it's a habit or because your father was doing it or you were you're not an accidental Muslim. I mean, or not by born Muslim, right? So you had to learn, why am I doing what am I doing?
That's
Again,
right.
one of the books in your office is Start with the Why. Nobody in our country starts with the why, right? So when you have a classmate who is Hindu, or I want to go as far as make a temple in our school. I want to have a church in our school because I want them to be exposed that it's you will not die if you enter into a temple. You go and have a conversation. Otherwise, you will do what? You will go and what is happening right now around the world, right? So no, he's bad. I'm good. Otherwise, you think you're the chosen one and everybody else should go to hell. They're not even humans. So that's the problem I'm tackling with in my part of the world.
Sure.
And that is why they need to be... I can't say this is Islamic because Shias will say, no, this is not, he's not Muslim. And the Sunnis say, he's not Muslim. And there are other nuances in Pakistan which you don't face in UAE, for example. The government will arrest you and throw you out if you do Shias and Sunni here. In Pakistan, where will the Pakistani go? It's another challenge which we have that I think by broadening your horizon, if you can live with maybe a Hindu, you can maybe live with a Shia. So that's the reason.
Yeah, well, I'll say one of the things that attracted me to Islam early on was that it came as a universal message for all people in all times. And what I've seen in Islamic education, sometimes we've isolated ourselves, whereas we could perhaps, if we're sometimes more strategic with our language, we can invite more people in. And
in a few years, maybe I will be there. But right now, I'm dealing with ethnic problems where I am.
Sure.
People think I work for CIA to provide laptops and smartphones to kids who are not supposed to have a smartphone or a computer. Internet is evil.
Right.
My nuances are very different than a student paying $2,000 a month. My students pay me $1 a month.
Yes.
So huge different kind of problem set of challenges. The nuances are different.
Sure.
From outside, for example, a lot of people criticize me for screen time.
Screen time, yes.
Right? So, you're giving everybody a laptop and smartphone. Fine. You're coming from a family which has been having a computer for the last 20 years. I am giving a smartphone to a child which doesn't have a smartphone in their house at all. Their screen time is 0. I'm not asking them to use it 18 hours a day. I'm asking them to use some hours a day, but their screen time is 0. So giving them is actually giving them an opportunity for pro screen time. So they send me studies in Sweden about screen time. Well, it doesn't apply to my school. It does. It's so different.
Very different context.
Very different context. And you have to go deeper to understand why am I doing what am I doing. And people just, people always judge the book by the cover. They don't have time to go read it.
Right.
Most people don't. And that's why these problems arise. Because in the end of the day, we're all human beings. We're all coming from Adam and Eve. I call everybody my cousin because if I believe as a human that everybody comes from Adam and Eve, a Jewish is my cousin, a Christian is my cousin, a Hindu is my cousin, everybody's my cousin, right? So what's the fuss all about? He's my second or third or 100th cousin. So, but they don't allow me to say that. Even though they're saying I'm coming from Adam and Eve, but they can't find that logic which I'm coming from. That's my nuances are different. My parents are uneducated. My parents don't earn a lot. They live in a one-room house with 20 people. It's a very different kind of problems I'm trying to deal with. 27 million people in our country don't go to any school. A lot of people are saying, you're making them money-oriented. money is a problem for them.
Mm.
If you're coming from a background where money is not a problem, if you're living in Sweden, America, social security system is there, a lot of systems are there, it's a different problem. In my country, money is a problem. 8 hours a day, they don't have electricity. They need money for everything. So yes, I am making them money oriented so they can go beyond money. I was not introduced to Maslow's hierarchy of needs up till 5 years ago. I wish I was introduced that at school. First I have to take care of their fundamentals. Then I can open up their creativity. If they're hungry, Quran or Islam is saying you can eat pork if you're hungry for 3 days, right? If I'm hungry, I don't have to pray. But how can you ask them to become creative when they're hungry? Again, it's a different country, different context, different problem. When we reach a certain level, yes, we will evolve. We will solve their problem also as it happens. Right now, my interest is in creating 1,000 leaders who will take upon themselves to solve one problem at a time, and they will stick to it. There's nobody in the planet Earth. There's Greta Thunberg saying, "I will solve the climate problem. I will work for it." But we don't know anybody who's saying, "I will solve the SDG problem number 4. I will. It's my new name. I'm going to be called Waterwala till I solve it." That's what I'm creating. I'm giving them an ambition and a goal at a very young age, just like they want to become a doctor, or I want to cure cancer, or want to cure. They say that, but nobody's saying I want to solve water problem, because it's not a problem in the UK. It's not a problem in the West, where the curriculum is apparently coming to our country. I cannot expect you to come to my part of the school and create a curriculum for me. It's not going to work, because you're coming from a different context. Even if you try to, it will take you years to actually sit with them, understand what is needed for them. And nuances is what sometimes wars happen on.
Sure. So what lessons do you think we could take here as a school in Dubai from what you've done? So we're trying to be an innovative school that's still very much grounded in an Islamic worldview, nurturing that identity, but also looking, okay, how are we going to prepare these students for the world that's here right now, that's vastly different than our education system was designed for, from an industrial era, right? So you're someone who's really kind of just, like you said, first principles. You've wiped out the current system and started from the ground up. Most schools can't do that for various reasons, but what are some bridges that you see we could go and do things maybe that Rehan School is doing?
After looking at what I've done in 3 years and before that also, I think the first thing you should do is introduce the Wala concept. Take the ownership. Set life goals with them. Sit with them and set up a life goal. It starts with the why. And tell them to really own the name or the work, and don't be shy about it. Number 2, you have podcast rooms, you have computers, you have internet. Ask them to find, like for example, in our 6th grade, they have to find a TED Talk. Say you are a water wala. And for those who don't understand wala basically means a smith, or a person who is dedicated to that thing or work for that thing. For example, if you meet a plumber, you're going to save his name, John Smith Plumber, so that you can remember, because there's another 10 John Smith in your phone. So one John Smith would be plumber, another would be a carpenter, another would be a teacher. That's where the names come from, right? There's Mr. Carpenter, right? Where does Mr. Carpenter name come from? Because it's his trade. So today, in the world of SEO, search engine optimization, in the world of Facebook, social media, if you type John Smith, you're nobody. You can never be found. Oh, Mr. John Smith got a Nobel Award. Which Mr. John Smith? So ask them to take the ownership and take it to an extent that you put your name on it, right? If you drive around and you see restaurant, where will you go and eat? You're confused. 150 years ago, you might have heard of Ken Robinson, and his book is very powerful, called The Element. So he says that 150 years ago, people in their life met 150 people, right? Today in your school alone is 1,500 people. So we live in a very different world. We can no longer be Muhammad, Imran, or Muhammad, Rehan, or Muhammad, or Imran Ahmed, because there's going to be another 50 in the same school. So you have to first start with an identity. The purpose of a name is to give you an identity. Oh, mashallah, you are Ahsan. May Allah make you more Ahsan. Your name represents you. Therefore, I think the step one is to give them an identity. What do you want to be? Say it out and loud, because then you will go and connect to that class, to those people. If you meet somebody, she says, I am a video wali. You will say, oh, my cousin is video wali. Let me introduce you to her. Oh, my uncle is hiring somebody in videography. Let me introduce you to her. So you're basically, maybe you've heard of the Business Network International, BNI, and they're constantly introducing each other to people based on what they do. The biggest challenge today is people don't know what are they going to do? What do you do? And they're shy. So they won't come to you, yeah, what do you exactly do? And in order for me to find out what you do, I need to spend good 15-20 minutes to understand what you do. What if you just put your name, Yahya Education Wala? You're just done with it. Or Yahya Islamic Education Wala. You're done with it. Nobody else will question you anything. This is the store. Okay, you need to meet this person who is also in education and also in Islamic. So you have to meet him. You have to meet. Why? Because the network is where the knowledge is. And today, in a hyper-connected world, 4 billion people on social media, Instagram, WhatsApp. This is not a world where we meet 150 people in our lifetime. We meet 150 a day. So the biggest challenge is we can't find the right people most of our lives. How do you solve a problem without the right people? You're talking about some problem your school was having, then you had to find the right team to find that problem. If there was somebody who said, I solved this problem, and you Google it, done. You can't Google that. It's impossible to find the right person, right? So that's one of the biggest human problems, is you can't find the right people. I even tried to make a search engine on that, where you can just write the problem and you'll find the 10 top people you should connect with. I'm still working on it. I hope I can accomplish that with the AI now. So start with, who are they? Why are they in the school? What do they want to become? If they want to become an aeronautical engineer, do they really want to learn certain zoology book? Or what are their books they must read or they must not read? What should be farad, what should be sunnah, and what should be nafil, right? That will identify what is your first priority, second priority, and third priority, right? We don't have that. In a school, we're preparing a journalist with a G, meaning you're prepared for everything which the life will strike to. No, that's wrong.
The model I've seen is the T-shaped person. So the T, the top horizontal bar, being these skills that everyone should have, right? Financial literacy, design thinking.
Do you really think we need those skills today with AI around us all the time?
Oh, this is a question, right? But then what are you, the down slope would be, the vertical would be, what are you going to be a master in? What 2 things are you going to be the best at? You may not be the best at one, but if it's 2 combination, so the idea of a T-shirt, does that fit into the model?
So imagine you're setting up a factory, or you're writing the world or your country's economic plan, and you don't count in the factor of electricity. Would that be wise? Can you create a school without electricity? Can you create a factory without electricity? So you keep electricity in mind all the time. Today, AI is the new electricity. We are not keeping it in mind that what can it do or what will it do for us. And that's where all the pedagogies and all the systems, it's obsolete already. We don't have a landline anymore. We've gone away with it. If somebody's designing a new building, they don't put up a landline port anymore because it's gone. And similarly, a lot of stuff in the school is no longer needed.
Absolutely.
You don't need it in real life, but there is a lot of stuff which we do need in school, in life, which we are not teaching in school. For example, does your school teach how to use social media as a curriculum?
No.
Is it something which they will live without? No. Does your school has a class dedicated on communication to their parents?
Nope.
Is it something which they will need in real life? Yes. Is there a class where they will need to learn to negotiate with other human beings? Would that something more important than by learning to biology or my algebra equation or calculus? Yes, to me it's more important than all those things. And those things I can think AI cannot take over. I have to educate my child to be the best communicator, to be the most ambitious, to be the most humble, to be the most sweetest. He should know how to cook.
I heard that was one of the classes. Yeah, your son is teaching the cooking class.
You have to teach the cooking because can you survive without cooking? No. So the stuff which is in the school is designed, as you were mentioning, for the industrial age, and we have long gone the industrial age. Tesla's factory has like 2 humans. Industrial age is gone as we know it. And if you take a child at grade 1, in 12 years' time, it will be 2037. And in 2037, what kind of world will we be living on? Is the child getting all the journal standard, the T thing, which he will need in 2035, 2030? No. We are still teaching to drive. We will have autonomous cars probably in 10 years' time. The probability is very high. So my interest is to give my student, and your should be also, but you have to follow the standards of the UAE or in the other governments, and that's where you need to challenge it. Somebody has to challenge it. In the United States, you teach about that woman who challenged the woman's voting rights. Or the slavery, right? Somebody has to stand up to the system and say, no, you're wrong. They're not stupid. It's just that we're all habitually who we are. Humans are nothing but their habits, as Aristotle said. So we have to come out of our habits, and it's very hard. So your school, number 1, should have a wala. Number 2, have communication class full time. Have them podcast every day if you can, because it takes a year to get them to speak and be unshy. Some of them would fly, some of them would not, but it's an essential skill. You end up getting divorced if you don't talk to your wife. It's a very big thing. Or you end up with your brother if you don't, or you become Israel and Palestine if you don't talk, right? Imagine if Palestinian and Israeli kids were talking every day for the last 10 years on social media, publicly, would this kind of war be happening? Imagine people fighting with each other, bombing each other, are refusing to come live on social media and say, hey, let's talk. No, we will bomb you. We will not talk to you. What is this? In today's, the war has to be reinvented. It should be against the law to bomb anyone without having 10 public conversation publicly, just like you have this talk before elections. The opponent has to sit together. Same thing should be, according to United Nations. In my opinion, it should be outlawed. Anybody who bombs anyone without talking 20 times, 100 times publicly, you won't shoot him, because he's like just shooting for no reason without talking. And the rules of the law, the wars are obsolete also. Every law we have written in our laws are obsolete, are pre-internet era, pre-AI era. We need to rewrite them. It's a different world we live in. It's like we're living in this new planet, but we've just arrived in a new planet, but we're living by the rules of the old planet. You can't do that. It's wrong. If we fly to Mars and there's a colony there, people are living by their rule, we go, no, it's kind of challenging if you get what I'm getting at. So one thing is getting to the wala, second is communication class is extremely essential. And then the way we teach them to become a water wala, whatever wala, is by watching TED Talks every day. So a student will go and write water TEDx, enter, and he will watch she will watch the TEDx. Then they will make their own TEDx and publish it, and then tag the person who actually gave the talk and request him or her for a podcast.
Amazing.
And 6th grade, you're giving them access to the top person of their field anywhere on the planet. It is possible, right? They are all on Twitter. They're all on LinkedIn. They're all on email. Why don't you email them? No, you're too shy. They're too big people. We can't approach them. Well, why can't you? What's wrong with that? There's something wrong with that. They might say no, but 8 out of 8, even if 8 out of 10 will say no, 2 will still say yes. You have to try. And that is what you require today, grit. You have to keep on trying. And that's what is required as a character building. I was reading the quotation yesterday by Ratan Tata saying that when you go slow, you build a character. And when you get to your goal too fast, you build an ego. So when you achieve something in long time, you build a character because you have worked for it. And if you get just, here you go, here's $1 billion, you build ego. I made $1 billion already, right? So you were talking about character building. I think failure teaches you character building because you learn to become humble, that you can fail. You tried everything, but you can still fail. And that builds you character. Otherwise, you're like, oh, I can do anything. No, that's not character. That's full of BS. So that builds character. Help them start a business at 9th grade. Let them fail. Partner with Antler, Y Combinator. Give them ambitious goals. Because that's where their hormones are not kicking in. That's where they're not very ambitious on the other parts of the human body. And that's when they can put up the energy. One of the things which I learned is that these kids which I'm working with are full of energy all the time. I ask them, are you tired? It's like, what is tiredness? And I was shocked by this answer. What is tiredness? And I'm like, really, you don't get tired? Because I don't remember how I was when I was 14. Maybe I was like this also. But these kids are just, they don't get tired. If you go through our books, they end up making Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter of their own from scratch with using AI. And the kid who did the first time our books, he got an award of 100,000 rupees. He was working 16, 18 hours a day. He was barely sleeping. And I was forcing him, you have to sleep, you can't do so many tasks. But he was still not willing. He wanted to really win. He was in the zone. He was in the zone. And he didn't get tired. He got crazy. He didn't get tired. So we have unfortunately not taking the most creative time of humanity, and the most creative creatures we have alive are 5-year-olders, not 50 years older, right? 50-year-old has to take care of his mortgage, house, car, wife, children. 5-year-old has no worries in life. That's where you're most creative at. Why don't you have them do the think tank? Why don't you make them the ambassadors? You have billions of them. Why don't you get them all on social media? Hey, you have to talk to my enemy. Go attack them. You have to talk to so many Christians or Jewish and ask them publicly, why are you doing this? So, and that goes on the internet. And you can't shoot a 5-year-old for having a conversation. Right? You can maybe a 25-year-old. Oh, he was a terrorist. 5-year-old gets away with everything. Right? There's a get out of jail card. So use the school for good. That's my interest. And I have worked 35 years with adults, and I have given up on adults. I'm trying not to stay away from 18-year-old, third plus, totally away, because they say, oh yes, it's a great idea. We will do it. And less than 1% actually does anything. But these students, they end up 20 to 30%, which is, for me, is like great return on investment for my time. So I'm very happy with these, with the methodology. I hope I can, cross my fingers, continue doing it.
Yes.
And if they find out we don't follow whatever, so we just close the school and we do an after the school academy.
Sure.
Because, you know, we make 22,000 young ones every day in Pakistan. So I think I just need 1,000.
Inshallah. So it's been very inspiring what you've done, and I pray that Allah continues to facilitate your efforts.
Ameen.
I do look forward to looking at these open source books and seeing what we might be able to do here.
And I look forward to having drone walas in Dubai.
Inshallah.
And recycling walas, because UAE government is very pro on these things.
Yeah.
Right? Job walas, AI walas, because in UAE there's advanced version of specialization that is required, which they bring from other parts of the world, or architecture wala or roads walas, who re-innovate from scratch. The idea is, we are not, I think there are enough PhDs and masters around the world.
Mm-hmm.
There are not enough connectors to actually bridge them together and make things happen. They're not enough.
Mm-hmm.
And once you have those enough, we will start peace walas. We don't have enough of those bridging the problems in the world.
Very true. MashaAllah. So, in closing here, I always have my guests draw a question from the key question jar.
Dun, 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 dun.
As an inquiry school, we try to practice this. So, go ahead and draw
That's a
out
great
a
idea.
question there. Yeah, I do this with students too. I'll walk through the halls and have them pick out a question.
What's the Chinese cookie question?
Yes.
What are the 3 most important qualities in a friend? I think that answer goes differently for everyone. For me, it would be to be able to listen, to be able to take the call when I need him or her, and to accept me how I am.
Beautiful. Beautiful answers. Thank you. So
Correct.
anyone that wants to learn more about Rehan's school, there are a number of really inspiring videos. There's one that's a school tour. And I just wanted to mention one thing that really stuck out to me. I loved the, it's the SD goals wall you have, where students can go up and look, okay, I want to solve that one. And you have another room that's like a model United Nations. So you've really reimagined the school building too. So that's something I encourage people to take a look at that video. And then you have another interview with the former president of Singularity University that I think really beautifully spells out the vision of the school. So if people want to learn more, do check those out. We'll link them up to the podcast. And we hope you can come back and visit us again. And
This is one of the most gorgeous schools I've ever been to in my life. This is for sure.
Alhamdulillah.
Whoever is studying here is one lucky person to have this kind of school right next to you. I was like, am I moving here soon?
Alhamdulillah.
It's really gorgeous.
We'd love to have you back and share your story with students and parents. And I think your message is one that needs to, inshallah, spread wider. And certainly there's going to be a lot of good conversations that I think will come out of this episode, inshallah. And of course, our goal is to really help improve humanity. We have that same vision here at NGS. And I look forward to, inshallah, collaborating with you as we go forward, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So, Jazakallah khair. I'll just close with the dua of the majlis. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wa assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Amen.